Hello and welcome. This is my build video on Absolvers. There was a great many questions on how they were actually made, and I'm in the process of making one, so I figured I'd do a video. This was the first of the air tank, or the drain blaster guns that I built. I built it out of a Barricade. Originally I was planning to use the Barricade cylinder as an Absolver, but it turns out Barricade cylinders do not work well because they're not designed for air pressure blasters, they're designed for flywheel. I really wanted the tack rail and the stock mount because I like modular things. It also turned out that it fit pretty much perfectly. It required a bit of cutting here and there, but I'll be doing a build video on that one later. Today we're covering Absolvers. I have built 4 different Absolvers for this system so far. A Maverick cylinder, a Firefly cylinder, a Legend Fire cylinder, and a Fury Fire cylinder, firing 6, 8, 9, and 10 respectively. They all use mostly the same parts to attach them. On the blaster itself, the only modification I made to the drain blaster was to add a small section of 3/4 inch PVC. It is both Gorilla Glued, and then I have 2 screws to hold it in place. Other than that, the blaster is as it came out of the box. I am connecting the guns to it using a 2-inch to 3/4 inch PVC bushing, unthreaded, so they are just friction fit. They just push on and pull right off. This is for ease of changing out cylinders. Rather than reloading all of the barrels in each cylinder, I made numerous cylinders and can just swap them out. I've made 4 Maverick, 4 Firefly, 2 Legend Fire, and we'll be making the second of the Fury Fire, though I don't recommend them, as a tendency to not fire all the cylinders and it gets poor range, as you can see in the firing video that I have posted. The larger cylinders require an additional piece of PVC in order to line up with the holes in the back of the cylinder. You will need a 2-inch PVC coupler, and the bushing simply slides into it, and this makes the connection a little bit larger. In order for it to fit properly, you will need to cut the bushing down a little bit. I cut it flush with the hole in the back. This way, when you put the two together, it increases the size, and then it will line up with the holes and actually cover them all. On the smaller ones, the Legend Fire and the Maverick, you do not need this. You just have to glue the bushing to the back of the cylinder. Some of these cylinders, actually all of these cylinders, require at least a little bit of modification to the back of the cylinder in order to fill the gap where the center rod went through the cylinder. For the Fury Fire, I used a 3/4 inch PVC cap. It fits perfectly right in here. Slide it on, done, and you're ready to glue. For the Legend Fire, I opted to plug the middle cylinder because when I tested it, all the power was going to the center one. It was firing great, and the rest just came out fishtail. When I plugged it, they all fired properly. So I just slid a nut down inside and then screwed in a bolt in the back. There's plenty of other ways you could plug that, whichever you prefer. Knock yourself out. This one just required a single screw to be put into the back. And the Maverick cylinder was the same. It just required a screw put into the one hole that was in the back of the cylinder. And that allowed you to unplug them, glue them on, and you're good to go. I did put in a screw on both of these. There's a screw going through the coupler into the bushing in order to keep it from popping out, because otherwise it would when you fired it. I use Gorilla Glue because I find it works really, really well. You put a thin layer on, put the two sides together, apply pressure. You can use a clamp. I just use blocks of metal that I have lying around to create pressure. Give it a couple of hours and it cures, and you are good to go. So, that is how I made them. It's very simple. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments.